For its entire history, Skoda has been the sensible choice. The brand you bought with your head, not your heart. Practical, well-built, and always more affordable than the badge parked next to it. So what you are looking at should not really exist. This is the new Skoda Peaq, and it is the biggest, most expensive, most ambitious car the company has ever built. A 7-seat electric flagship designed to take on cars costing far more. The sensible brand just went premium. The only question is whether it can pull it off. To see why that is such a big deal, it helps to remember where Skoda has come from. For years, decades really, the brand was the punchline, the cheap option, a byword for budget motoring. But under Volkswagen's ownership, it quietly transformed itself into one of the most respected names in the business, building cars that consistently offered more space and more sense than rivals costing thousands more. Value became its whole identity. People came to trust Skoda precisely because it never overreached. So, a flagship, a genuine, expensive, range-topping flagship is the one thing almost nobody expected Skoda to build. And yet, here it is. To understand why the Peaq matters, you also have to understand where it comes from. A few years ago, Skoda showed a concept car called the Vision 7S. It was bold, blocky, and futuristic, the kind of thing concept cars always are, and the kind of thing that usually gets watered down into something far blander by the time it reaches a showroom. But that is not what happened here. The Peaq you are looking at is that concept made real, and it keeps almost all of the drama. And so this is not just another electric SUV. It is a statement of intent, the first car in a whole new family of larger, more expensive Skodas. The name itself is the clue. Peaq is meant to suggest exactly that, the summit, the very top of the range. For a brand that built its reputation on value, climbing to the summit is a genuinely risky move. Go too far up market and you abandon the buyers who made you successful. Stay too cautious, and the flagship falls flat. Skoda has clearly decided the reward is worth the risk. So the real story here is not really about a car at all. It is about a brand trying to change who it is. And the first thing that tells you Skoda is serious is the sheer size. The Peaq stretches almost 16 feet long, which makes it the largest car the company has ever put into production. Think about that for a second. The brand, best known for clever, compact, value family cars, has just built a full-size flagship SUV. It is built in the Czech Republic, in Skoda's own heartland, and it rides on the same fundamental electric architecture that underpins much of the wider Volkswagen Group, stretched and reworked to create something far grander. On the outside, it wears Skoda's confident new design language, the look the company calls modern solid, all sharp, clean, deliberate surfaces with very little fuss. Where a traditional grille used to sit, there is now a striking full-width light signature and a smooth closed-off face because an electric car simply does not need to breathe the way a petrol one does. There's a copper and bronze launch color that genuinely looks expensive, a sharper blue Sportline version for those who want more attitude, and calmer tones like a deep steel gray for buyers who want to keep it understated. It is upright, square-shouldered, and imposing, with big wheels pushed right out to the corners and a long tapering roofline that hints at the space inside. Crucially, it does not look like a stretched version of a cheaper Skoda. It looks like its own thing, designed from the very start to sit at the top, and standing in front of it, the ambition is impossible to miss. Around the back, the Skoda name is spelled out in full across the tailgate, a small but telling sign of a brand that is suddenly proud to be seen, rather than hidden behind a badge. Open the door though, and the Peaq plays a clever double game. Because for all its newfound ambition, it has not forgotten what made Skoda, Skoda. The cabin is modern and minimalist, built around a large central touchscreen and a clean, horizontal dashboard that feels airy and expensive. The materials have moved up market too, with softer, more tactile surfaces and a lighter, more sustainable feel than you would ever have found in an older Skoda. There is a real sense of space and calm in here, the kind of environment that makes a long journey feel shorter. In front of the driver sits a crisp digital display, and an available head-up view puts your speed and your directions right in your line of sight, so your eyes stay on the road. But woven through all that polish are the small, thoughtful touches the brand has always been famous for, the ideas Skoda calls simply clever, the clever storage, the little practical solutions. The umbrella tucked into the door, the spaces for the things you actually carry, the details that rivals always seem to forget. And so, the Peaq manages something genuinely difficult. It feels premium without feeling cold, ambitious without being pretentious. It is trying to give you the sense of occasion of a luxury car while keeping the down-to-earth usefulness of a Skoda. And honestly, that combination, the plush and the practical together, might just be the most appealing thing about the whole car. Which brings us to the part that matters most for a car this size, the space. The Peaq is offered as either a 5 or a 7-seater, which is exactly the flexibility a family flagship needs. Need to carry the whole extended family and their luggage? The 7-seat version has you covered. Want maximum boot space for fewer people? The 5-seater delivers. The long body and the flat floor of the electric platform free up a genuinely generous, lounge-like cabin with proper room in the middle row and a third row that is usable rather than just for show. Passengers in the back get their own climate controls and charging points, the kind of thoughtful detail that keeps a car full of people calm and comfortable on a long drive. There is even a small storage area under the hood, a frunk, which is the perfect place to stash the charging cables out of the way. This is the Skoda recipe scaled all the way up. Take the practicality and the family friendliness the brand is loved for, and apply it to a car at the very top of the range. For big families who have been quietly priced out of premium 7-seaters, that is a genuinely exciting prospect. So it looks the part, and it has the space. But a flagship lives or dies on what powers it, and here the Peaq has real substance. There are 2 battery sizes, a smaller pack of around 63 kilowatt-hours for the entry-level car, and a larger one of around 91 kilowatt-hours for those who want maximum range. And that bigger battery is the headline, because it gives the Peaq an official range of more than 370 miles on a single charge. For a 7-seat SUV this size, that is a seriously long-legged figure, enough to turn a daunting family road trip into a relaxed one. Power runs from a sensible 200 horsepower in the rear-wheel drive versions up to nearly 300 horsepower in the all-wheel drive flagship, badged 90X, so even the quickest version is brisk rather than ballistic, reaching 62 miles an hour in under 7 seconds, and honestly, that is exactly the right call. This is a car tuned for effortless, refined, long-distance cruising, not for chasing lap times, and the calm way it gathers speed suits the character perfectly. When the battery does run low, it charges quickly too, going from 10 to 80% in around 28 minutes at a fast enough charger, which is barely a coffee break on a long trip. So whether you pick the efficient rear-wheel drive car for the longest range, or the all-wheel drive one for extra grip and pace, the everyday usability is there. And that matters, because a flagship that cannot go the distance is just expensive. Now, no story like this is complete without the catch, and the Peaq has 2 worth being honest about. The first is the boot. With all 7 seats in place, luggage space shrinks to a fairly modest size, which is the inevitable compromise of squeezing 3 rows into even a car this big. Fold the rearmost seats down, and the problem disappears completely. But with 7 on board, you will want to pack light. The second catch is the bigger one, and it goes right to the heart of this whole story: the price. The Peaq is comfortably the most expensive Skoda ever made, starting at over £50,000, around $66,000, and climbing from there through the range. That is not a typo. For a brand built on being the sensible, affordable choice, that is a genuinely bold number, and it is fair to ask whether buyers will pay flagship money for a Skoda badge. But here is the counter-argument. Lined up against a premium 7-seat electric SUV from one of the established luxury names, or even against something as good as the Kia EV9, the Peaq holds its own on space, range, and equipment, while undercutting the priciest of them by a meaningful margin. So, it is expensive for a Skoda, yes, but potentially very good value for what it actually is. Whether buyers see it that way is the real gamble at the center of this car. So, back to the question we started with. Can the sensible brand pull off a genuine flagship? On the evidence of the Peaq, The answer looks like a confident yes. This is a car that takes everything people have quietly loved about Skoda for decades: the space, the practicality, the clever thinking, the honest value, and pours it into something ambitious, premium, and genuinely desirable without losing its soul along the way. It goes on sale toward the end of 2026, with the first deliveries landing early in 2027, and when it arrives, it could quietly become one of the smartest big electric SUVs you can buy. This sensible brand just built something special, and that might be the most surprising story in the car world right now. If you want to catch reveals like this the moment they break, subscribe, and we will keep bringing you the stories behind the cars. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. I read every single one. And don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified about my next upload. See you in the next video.